On. Hello there, and welcome to Three Spoonies. We're your hosts, Karen, Joe, and Claire. This is episode number 55.5, and we're discussing intrusive and inclusive technology. Let's get into some questions.
Have you ever had that moment when you realise you're not difficult, you're just different? For so many late-diagnosed neurodivergent adults, life up until now has felt like trying to read a map that wasn't drawn for you. At work, at home, even within yourself, the misunderstandings can be exhausting. At Outside the Box, Neurodiverse Coaching and Mentoring, we believe your difference is your brilliance. Our mission is simple: to help you understand yourself, be understood by others, and finally feel supported in the way you need. To get started, download your free Support Needs Wheel, a gentle tool to help you explain what supports you to thrive.
Hello, I'm Karen from Pony Pony Pony.
I'm Joe from Black Cat Business Solutions.
I'm Claire from Black Vowel Stationery.
And together, we're three spoonies navigating our way through life and business with not enough spoons. This week, we have some community questions on inclusive and intrusive technology. Over to you, Claire.
In the whoosh. So our first question is from Charlie, and he says, our company website has way too many cookies on it. Honestly, I don't think any of them are doing anything important. They're just default junk. I think it puts people off using the site. How do I bring it up?
You bring up these days that you can get cookie things where you can choose what is actually recorded and what isn't, and that might be a more inclusive way of doing it. So instead of going, this is bad, go, this could be a better option.
But I do like it when it's like you have the options to what you want to pick. And
I mean, I still say, yeah, whatevs. But yeah, I know some people like to pick and choose.
I choose, and other times I'm just like, oh, sod it, just, yeah.
Could also be worth checking the defaults. It may be that there's some setups, if you're using a template or something like that, some of them may be recording lots of things that, like you say, aren't useful, and it maybe take some of those off. Because if there is the option to choose and people have loads and loads and loads and loads of options, again, could be off-putting, but it could also be, in terms of sort of being environmentally friendly, that could be loads of data that's being recorded that no one is using, no one needs. And in terms of sort of GDPR and things, could potentially be in trouble for recording stuff, even if you're not using it, that isn't necessary. So it's definitely worth looking at it, especially if it's something you only discovered when you went to your own website. Definitely worth looking at that. If it's not taken seriously, it might be worth someone getting in contact as a customer to say, well, there were a gajillion cookies. Why is that? It really put me off.
That's definitely another good way of doing it.
Yeah, I think that one sums it up really nicely. So our next question is from Chris, and he says, are there any voice recognition programs that will recognize my accent? Unfortunately, he hasn't said what his accent is. So I'm going to go like, he's either going to be Welsh or Scouse, because they're both really hard accents to listen to sometimes.
Or Deep Darkish Scotland.
Yeah.
I would say a lot of them these days should, so long as it's gotten used to your accent. I would go through the free options and see if any of them work. Then maybe Google which would work for such an accent.
Well, that's a good idea, yeah, because Google will tell you what apps work well with accents. And
the Word one isn't bad with a lot of accents, and it also has, for the reader, you can pick regional accents if you've got the version on your computer. It's a bit more limited for the online one, but I think they have tested it with enough different accents. It should be okay. I mean, to be fair, we should have the technology nowadays where there isn't a default accent that things are trained on, but unfortunately, we're very much not there yet.
It's trained on like the BBC accent, even though they don't use it as much these days.
okay, so moving on to our last question from Lucas. He says, I'm not happy with some of the terms and conditions on a social media app I've been advised to use. Should I use it? I'm going to just flat out say no. If you're not happy
Yeah.
with it, don't use it. I don't know if you guys feel any differently about that. And from Karen's face, that's a no.
Yeah, I think if you're not comfortable with it, I wouldn't want to use it from an ethical perspective. I mean, if it's a security concern rather than an ethical concern, you may be able to access it through a browser, which might be another way to do it. But personally, I wouldn't want to be involved with something that had weird terms and conditions or anything like that. I'd rather just not use them personally.
Yeah, my thoughts are along the lines of, if you're not comfortable with it, no. It's only been a recommendation. It's not a, you need to use this. Find what works for you and use that.
Yeah. I mean, there's certain things that terms and conditions, they don't need to have access to certain stuff on your phones and stuff. So if you're not comfortable with it, yeah, just don't use it.
Like Joe said, there's loads of alternatives. There may be something else that suits you better, or it also depends why someone recommended it. It may be because it was particularly good for your audience, or it may just be someone else has done quite well on it and said, oh, you should do it too.
It could be more they've done quite well rather than this is where your audience is. And most people are on more than one platform these days. So even if your audience is there, find where else they go.
Yeah. Because there are so many out there now and people are tending to use more. I think I have accounts on most of them and I don't use them, ironically.
I auto post to most of them. I don't use most of them.
The joys of scheduling. That is all of our questions. I am going to whoosh us back to Karen.
Whoosh. So thank you for joining us for 3 Spoonies on inclusive and intrusive technology. We'd love to know your thoughts in the comments and any questions you have. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe for our weekly podcast and leave us a lovely review. You can also buy us a coffee if you like what we do, or a bubble tea, or I'm sure we could suggest some variations.
Yeah.
Not for me, though. But yes, that's an alternative too. We'll see you next week for our next topic, which is cerebral palsy. Have a great day and keep track of your spoons.